Why did I buy a Harbor Freight woodworking bench? Well, it's simple. I need a bench now, and it was on sale. I'm following the instructions to install the shelf. Seems easy enough, right? Well, the biggest problem with this bench is the shelf. It just loves to fall out. Took me 5 minutes to install it, and 5 milliseconds to uninstall itself. At this point, I'm pretty frustrated, and I was facing two choices: return it or push through. And since I knew I'd never get everything back in the box, I decided to move forward. Plus, I still need a bench now. I grabbed a mallet, whacked the shelf back in place, and secured it with 3 screws on each side. Now it won't uninstall itself like a glitchy phone app. With the shelf issue fixed, I moved on to the rest of the assembly. Next problem, the drawer divider didn't have pre-drilled holes in the underside of the top. Looks like I get to solve that little manufacturing oversight myself. And transporting this was kind of an adventure for my wife, man. This thing barely fit in the SUV. Her and the guy at Harbor Freight had to prop this thing up on the back of the front seat just to get the tailgate to close. For months now, I've worked on my table saw because I didn't have a real workbench. Every project starts out with clearing off the table saw, and then everything winds up back on there again because it's really the only bench I've got. And let's be honest, I'm just too old and decrepit to be working on the floor. When I was younger, no big deal, just not gonna do it anymore. And sawhorses, yeah, I mean, sure they work, but spending money on temporary fixes just doesn't sit right with me when what I really need is a solid bench. A workbench is the heart of any wood shop. So, do you invest in building something that will last a lifetime, or grab a quick fix and get to work? So why not build the dream workbench now? Well, just the hardwood alone can cost hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Add in the fancy vise hardware we all love, and the price skyrockets. Not to mention, a proper bench takes weeks or even months of weekends to complete. But what about the other end of the spectrum? I mean, you can grab a $180 screw-together workbench today and be up and running in an hour or two. But is it really a bargain or just a waste of time and money? And I gotta give a huge shout out to my wife, Princess Layout, for making this happen. She ran to Harbor Freight, tracked one down, and got it home so I could get straight to work after a long day. We even saved $45 with a coupon, but not without a little adventure. There weren't any purchase tickets in the aisle, so she had to ask the cashier. Turns out they had them in stock after all. Kind of makes me wonder, do employees hide the tickets just so they don't have to lift these heavy boxes? Spoiler is that the website says they're in stock, so I'm not going to let go of something I want until they search the warehouse. Now let's talk about drawer construction, because the ones in this Harbor Freight workbench have me a little nervous. They feel, well, questionable at best. And I'm not exactly eager to trust my expensive hand planes and layout tools to these things. I'm kind of getting some serious deja vu here. Reminds me of when that flimsy shelf gave out. The long drawer front just has way too much flex, so I'm not taking any chances. A few pre-drilled holes and some screws through the front into the drawer bottom should keep things solid. Not exactly pretty, but at least I'll sleep better at night. And what's with this green felt? Looks like I should be lining up a putt instead of storing tools. Okay, time to put this Harbor Freight workbench to the test, starting with the built-in vise. No quick release mechanism here, so get ready for some serious arm workouts running this thing in and out. And with how far apart the dog holes are, you'll be doing a lot of cranking. It racks a lot. But surprisingly, it still holds work pieces well enough most of the time. Hand planing an edge, doable, but the bench is so light it gets pretty tipsy from the side. Face planing in the tail vise orientation actually works decently. The bench is more stable in the long direction, but it could still slide if you put enough force on it. Now let's talk about these drawers. They do offer some good storage and the ball bearing slides feel solid, but I still can't get over this green felt. It just makes me want to grab a putter and head to the golf course. So overall, this isn't a dream woodworking bench, but for the price and the minimal assembly time, it's actually a solid value. It's best for small to medium-sized projects, the top is nice and flat for glue-ups and assembly, and the glossy finish is surprisingly durable. Dried glue peeled right off for me. If you like this build, nail that subscribe button, and I'll see you next time in Maker's Man Cave.